Alright, so I am actually going to apply watercolor to this particular assignment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with my background, and I'm going to end up, I'm going a little bit neutral. I'm going to do a little bit of kind of a bluish gray back here, and I'm going to just start off by applying washes, and I'm going with just the idea here that I'm keeping things kind of neutral as I go. And as you can see, really with my application of this, there's a little bit more gray than what you would normally see applied here. It just is, you know, this is just blue right here, but a little bit of my graphite is mixing in with it. I did erase some of the original graphite that I ended up adding to this, you know, just simply because it got a little bit thick whenever I was doing it, mixing it with the pen and ink. So what I will decide to do at this point is just darken this a little bit and just make it a little bit bolder. And I can always come back. I know that I'm needing to go to some other spots, but I'm going to leave this kind of light and airy and sort of blue in some spots. I mean, it's kind of dark in some other spots. I'll put a little bit of purple right here just to just add a little bit of variety. So what I would tell you to do when you're adding colors to something, what I would recommend that you guys do is to add at least 3 colors to what you guys are doing, just to add that added dimension that you need. So as you move to your middle ground right here, what you're going to do is you're going to repeat some of the colors that you had originally added to your background, and that'll definitely help to unify some things. As you go throughout your middle ground, the assumption is that things would start to get a little bit warmer as you go to your foreground. And what I'm doing with the value in my middle ground as well as my background, I'm going in the pattern of the original value that I had actually added to begin with right there. So what I'll do here, I am going to end up making this start to look a little bit warmer. So I'll start to add just a little bit of green to what's going on right here. I may have to repeat a little bit of this green. It just depends on how harsh I make it right here in my background. So if this is really dominated by that, I might have to like bleed a little bit of that over here, just depending on the situation. So I'm gonna bring some of that up here in my foreground. But what I think I'm going to do in my foreground is I think I'm going to bring a little bit of the yellow in right there. So I'm still with, I'm going to work on my cast shadow, still with my cast shadow right here. I'm like repeating some of the blue that was added there, and then I'll pull in some of the green that I have here and bleed that out. You can kind of see that more in my lighter sections right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm kind of ignoring up here right now, but I'm going to go into my actual sphere. Now my sphere, what I'm going to do with it initially is I'm going to add just a little base tone, and my base tone is going to be cool initially, and then it's going to get warmer as I go to where you've got some kind of lighter areas. But I'm going to just lightly, I'm just applying blue right there. You wouldn't have to do that, you know, it just depends on if you want your sphere or whatever your object is to be recognized as like a warm object in general or a cool object. So as you know, with the shoe assignment, you would end up applying like yellows, you know, to the base tone. If you're wanting it to be kind of a warm, and you would apply, say like a blue, if you're wanting things to be cool. So I've just got a little base tone here. I'm gonna add a little bit of green right here. I may end up mixing that green with a little bit of yellow, because what I want is I want this to kind of pop a little bit. I may have made that a little bit too greeny yellow right there. But I can always mix in some blue with it, and I'm just kind of fading out. And one of the things that I'm paying attention to is I'm leaving this white. So I'm gonna go back and try to blend in that blue and that green that I just added. You need like a mid-range, so you're going, okay, let me go from extreme dark to extreme light. But in the process, what you've got to do is to continue to layer, and you might have to add what you added before, because with watercolor things tend to kind of fade and go away as they dry. So it's one of those mediums that it can be very frustrating, but if you're patient with it, it's extremely rewarding too. Since I didn't go too heavily dark on my green, I was gonna add just a little bit of this yellow right here. I was gonna try to warm it up a little bit. That, of course, you know, this is your focal point, so it's going to be, I would say, the most detailed, the strongest value, the heaviest contrast in places. So your darks will be bolder, and I'm assuming your lights also, you'd have some brights as well in your lights. Now, one thing you can do to further warm this up, if you're wanting to go that route, you can actually add, you don't want to get it muddy, but you can add like an opposite tone, like an orange or a red in some spots, just to give it just a little bit more of dimension right there. And I am going in the direction of my object as I go. Okay, so I don't want to make this video too terribly long, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm going to, in my foreground, add a bit of yellow to kind of brighten things up. So I have repeated, this is kind of just a summation, I've repeated the colors that I added in the background. I'm gonna add just a little bit of this purple, not much. And then areas of the background to the middle ground, and repeated those, some of those, the yellow in general, as I went to the foreground. So you can see this isn't done, but in general that is what I would do. So the main thing is to just unify what you're trying to do. Although you might have a dominant color, you might, if you have blue back here, you would bleed some of that blue right here. If you have green right there, you might have to bleed some of that green back there. So just the main thing is, if you do one thing here, you gotta probably do it here, and then touch on those things in other spots. So hopefully that's helpful, and I'll do another video for another day. Thank you very much.